All right, so we've got a game against another mage here, and the mulligan is generally the same whenever you queue up against mage. Um, you basically just like I said before, you pretty much just want to mull for Tempo Mage, keep your 1 and 2 drops. Your best early minions are Shadow Boxer, Mech Warper, Zombie Chow, or Cogmaster, whichever one drop you're running. And Northshire Cleric is good too. Here I'm going to keep Northshire Cleric along with Powered Shield, since Powered Shield's good if you have another 1 drop. And I'm going to toss Holy Nova and Defender of Argus. Shadow Word Pain is also huge against any mage pretty much, at least the most common ones. And you only keep things like Lotheb, Doctor Boom, and Pilot Shredder if you know you're up against Freeze Mage. But my opponent drops a turn 1 Clockwork Gnome, so I'm thinking it's some type of mech tempo hybrid. So I go ahead and Northshire Cleric and then coin out the Powered Shield to go ahead and draw a card and force my opponent to have the Frostbolt in order to actually kill my Cleric, which he does. But that's not bad, because that means turn 2 he's not developing minions. I go with the Museum Curator here just to here I'm trying to smooth out my curve, definitely. I got a choice between the Sky Golem, Chillmaw, and the Death Lord. And here I actually end up taking the Death Lord because I have Dr. Boom in my hand. So I feel I didn't need the other bigger drops. Now, generally, if you have Annoyatron or Museum Curator in hand and you can play another 2-drop to stay on curve, you want to play the other 2-drop. Obviously, I did not do it here because I was really trying to get a 3-drop in my hand. I was hoping for Dark Cultist, honestly. But you want to save those 2 minions to help you play around Mirror Entity, as since they have 1 attack and 2 health, they're easy enough for Mech Priest to kill. Mech Warper and Shadow Boxer are also fine to test for Mirror Entity if you don't have Curator or Annoyatron. And then Northshire Cleric and Defender of Argus are fine as well. So he ended up copying my Mech Warper, but I did get to clear. And then since he dropped 2 Mana Worms, I decided to go ahead and play Elise, because Elise is able to kill them in 1 shot. But here he's going to throw out the Arcane Missiles and then Arcane Intellect to draw. And he's going to be able to trade 1 of his Mana Worms into Elise and leave the other one alive. So here on this turn, I decide to play my second Curator. And this choice I decided to go with Karen, actually, because I didn't want him to just ping the Dark Cultist, trade into it with Mana Worm, and then have 4 mana left over to play something that Curator had no chance against. So that was the reason why I went with Karen on that one. And I just played the Death Lord. Here he goes with Drake, throws out the second Arcane Missiles. And Curator goes down. And I believe he just holds here, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he just holds here. One thing I wanted to mention, I like to, here I just go face and just play Karen, because Karen stands up to his board pretty well. But as far as Shadow Word Pain goes, I like to try to save Shadow Word Pain for Flame Waker, because it just represents so much damage. It's very similar to Knife Juggler. But using it on something like Mana Worm is not wrong. The Tempo Mage has a lot of good Shadow Word Pain targets. But throws Flame Strike out, which is a bit of a surprise. You don't really see Flame Strike in the standard list anymore, if I'm not mistaken. But wipes my board, and then his 2 Adder Drakes are up, so I got behind a little bit because of the Flame Strike in combination with my own Death Lord. So I had to play Dr. Boom here to try to get the board back. Now, my opponent on the turn 8 takes a really long time to go through this turn, which is actually good news for me, because this told me initially that there was no clean way to deal with this Dr. Boom and keep the type of board that he has. So I believe ultimately, though, he's going to play, he'll actually drop down Archmage Antonidas, and then he's actually playing mirror images as well. So both of those are going to come down, and I'll get a fireball off of it. But I do have the Shadow Word Death in my hand to deal with it. But it ends up taking his entire turn just to do it. And then I believe he's going to trade both Azure Drakes into the Dr. Boom, if I'm not mistaken. Yep, that's exactly what my opponent does. So here, Lothar's a nice pickup. I go ahead and death the Antonidas, clear off one of the taunts, and then I just go ahead and play Lothar here to prevent him from because if the hand is full of spells, if there's even one other spell on hand aside from the fireball my opponent picked up, then that's pretty good. It spends his whole turn just fireballing, using the fireball he got from Antonidas to clear Lothar, which is great. And it's here where I just go ahead and go wide and just flood the board. I've already seen a Flame Strike. Usually when I see a Tempo Mage running Flame Strike, they're not running 2. So I go ahead and clear off the last taunt, play a Noitron, and then I just decided to play Pilot Shredder as well, leaving only the Shadow Boxer in hand. I played them just to make the board a little bit stickier just in case. Well, if you got a second Flame Strike, you have to ping off the Annoyatron and then Flame Strike. Everything gets wiped, and then I still get a token. And then he gets damaged, and he doesn't get to play anything else. So Mad Scientist comes down along with the Sorcerer's Apprentice to try to contest the board. He pings off the Boombot. Scientist goes down. He gets a secret. And then he tries his luck with Flame Cannon and whiffs really hard. And one other thing I wanted to mention, actually 2 other things, as I pick up this Northshire Cleric here to try to test for another mirror entity. And then I go with Shadow Boxer. And then, I think I just heal my guys here. I heal my face, just so I can get the ping off and then attack. But you only need to save. There's only 3 key cards in this matchup. You want to save Shadow Word Death or Entomb for Antonidas, or the possible Ronin. But you don't run into. I hadn't run into Ronin that much in my climb with this deck. Light Bomb is specifically for Dr. Boom, or you're up against a board that will kill you. There's only 2 situations where you should be using Light Bomb. Holy Nova does not kill much in this matchup, unfortunately, but it's at its best when you're at parity on board, meaning that both of you are pretty much even, and you're able to trade damage with their minions using your minions without either any of your minions dying or as few of your minions dying as possible. And you can get everything to 2 health on their side, and then you just wipe their board with Holy Nova and then heal your guys at the same time. That's why Holy Nova's always been good in any tempo-based priest deck. But surprisingly, my opponent plays Finley in this Tempo Mage, and he goes with Life Tap for a 0 power since he's out of gas and wants to try to draw into some more stuff to try to get back in the game. But this is why the Discover minions like Gorilla Bottom Museum Curator are good in this matchup, because you can definitely get behind against Tempo Mage, but Discover just helps, like I've been saying throughout this series and the deck tech. It just allows you to put out more threats than you normally would be able to, and it's tougher for Mech Priest to run out of gas. It just keeps the threats coming, and that's pretty much exactly what's happened here. Tempo Mage, like many other tempo decks, tends to empty their hand pretty fast, and Arcane Intellect can only do but so much to prevent that. And more often than not, they usually run out of gas before this deck does, although, like I said, it could easily be the opposite. But you definitely need to save those 3 cards that I mentioned earlier for their biggest threats when they show up, because if not, then Antonidas or Boom, Dr. Boom instantly win them the game. But that's going to be the game. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will catch you on the next one.